All right, looks like we are live. I have never done this before, and yeah, I'm just quickly gonna get started. I'm simply going to start. I've been learning Laravel, and I've built a project with Jeffrey, of course, from Laracasts, but that was Laravel 8. So since Laravel 11 has been released, yeah, I've been working on a project for a client, which is a blog platform, and Laravel is super cool. Yeah, so what I want to do is I want to kill an hour. I wanted to code, but yeah, I really kind of like feel like I don't want to code right now. And since I have to go for my dinner in an hour, so I thought let's kill some time learning Laravel concept a day in depth. So let's jump right into it. I think I can share my screen. Again, this is the first time I'm doing something like this, so let me know if anything goes wrong or things like that. And I'll just share my entire screen here. Oh, damn. Went deep into the rabbit hole. Okay, so you know what? Let's start with the routing first. So routing is really the basic of Laravel. This is so cool. I mean, Laravel got everything you need to start, like kick start your project. Everything, routing, security, and a whole bunch of backend stuff combined with front end. It's just so perfect. That is the thing. So I'm not going to glorify Laravel right now. Those who do not know about it, dig into it. I'm pretty much sure that you guys gonna love it. So routing is the basic. So let's see what's happening. So what routing does is like your there is a life cycle in Laravel. So routing is one of the life cycle when a request kind of hits this route. For instance, let's say that www.yoursite.com/home, maybe your index page. So when someone visits that URL, what should happen? So there's this routing kind of you can define things through this routing, which is very crude, like crude stuff from Laravel. And let's see, I don't know if you guys have worked with it, but this is so cool. I'll just start reading about it, okay? And if you haven't worked with Laravel before, you can go with me and let's see what Laravel basically does. So yeah, basically this is the basic routing, the most basic Laravel routes, accept a URI and a closure, providing a very simple and expressive method of defining routes and behavior without complicated routing configuration files. This is so true. This is all you gotta do. Like you have to define this route facade. So facades are like some sort of like class that they have. It's more like it's already everything is defined. You do not have to build these things from scratch. Otherwise, you would have had to like build it from the scratch if you're going down the vanilla road and things like that. So you just define a route and you define this set this get request. So let's say that this is your route, and I can hate this on uh, Ubuntu here. I'm using Ubuntu. So route get. So what happened is that when your request hits this route, which is like www.yoursite.com/greeting. So what should happen? So this is nothing. It just returns something. And in this case, it's hello world. So if I show you this quick routing, it's so super cool. I haven't started off any server or anything right now. I'm just quickly going to like show you what happens here. I'm going to open up my terminal and blog spa. Yeah, so this is all I have to do, and I'm using Sail. There are a bunch of ways you can learn, like run Laravel on your system. So I'm basically definitely relying on Sail and container, Docker container over anything, to be honest. I just love it. So I'm not going to get into details of how you can like start off your Laravel application. And okay, so here is the thing. Yeah, I will. What I'll do, I'll go over here and I can like get it on the first screen, and let's do this. I'll minimize it. So what when I ran that sub command, basically this is an alias shortcut for running a sail start command, which Laravel provides. So, but this sub is something I kind of made an alias. You can do so in Ubuntu. If you need to know how you can do so, let me know in the comments. I'll see. Yeah, so this is the local host. And as we have talked about here, that if you go to this route, get greeting, something like hello world is returned. So let's see in our case, let's see, take a look at the route files of ours. So here is the thing that I have here, which is from this bloggy. And if I go here, I'll make sure that I'm in the right one right now. I'm in the right file here. Yeah, so this is what's happening. This is the file that you see that when someone visits this home page, so this will happen. So what's happening here is, since I am building a like single page application, I'm using Inertia. You can do that with Laravel Inertia.js, and I'm using Vue for the frontend frameworks. You can use React as well. So what's happening here is, like when someone hits here, I am rendering a component, which is welcome. And this is the view welcome component. As you can see, it's just the title here, which is welcome. You get it for the spa. It is provided by Inertia. So this is the very basic. And as you can see, of course, it's not really such pretty looking picture here, but you have it. You understand the flow, yeah? So this is what's happening. When someone hits this route, you show this page. When someone goes some other page, you render them. For instance, I have a login page here. So here it goes. And Laravel also provides the starter kit, which takes care of your authentication and authorization on a whole bunch of stuff, which is like really super cool. And I don't kind of understand why people don't use Laravel a lot, because especially for the people who are freelancing, this is hot, way more hotter than WordPress and stuff like that. Of course, I mean, if you have built something like that, you can always reuse it. Now, before I move on to the next one, beyond basic routing, I kind of want to check. I have no idea how it's going on right now. If you guys can see my screen or something. Looks like it. Yeah. Okay. So I will be here, and let's move on. So the default route files. All Laravel routes are defined in your route files, which are located in the routes directory. So this is the directory basically they're talking about. Whether you're building like a spa, you can also like use Livewire, which is like you can interact with frontend, right? Yeah, you can interact with frontend using PHP basically. Sorry, I know I kind of like thinking through and how to like kind of put it out there so that I'm clear of what I'm talking about. So this is basically a very architecture of Laravel application when you start. So you'll have this app, bootstrap, config, database, node modules when you're using npm, node packages, of course, it will be there, public resources, routes, storage, tests, vendor, and all bunch of like files here. And also like, of course, I'm using Tailwind. I love it. And so this is the thing they were talking about, that all of your routes file will be contained inside the route directory. So web, this web file contains your all the handling logic, how routing should work in terms of web applications. So basically, this is what happens when an URL is hit here. So as you can see, let me show you that there is also an admin here. So if I hit admin, it will render auth login. And then this name is basically, you can define this name on this route. That is the thing. So if I go there, let's say admin, should work. Oh, yes, we are here in the login page. Yeah, so this is basically, I was kind of um, started this project, but my client's requirement changed and SEO was highly like emphasized there. So I had to kind of like ditch the idea of spa for the time being. They don't really care about how rich user experience should be in this and that. They care more about the SEO. So yeah, I kind of like went back to the classic Laravel blade templating. So yeah, so they were talking about basically that you have your routes file here, and there is a console file, and there is also authentication file, and you can even have the API file here with the Laravel 11. You don't have them like from the beginning, but you can generate them. So let's see what happens next. These files are automatically loaded by Laravel using the configuration specified in your application's bootstrap / app PHP file. So maybe you know what, I shouldn't blabber so much. Maybe let's kind of read, yeah, and give you guys a chance to like read as well with me, maybe, and we'll kind of like recap over a topic, basically, like over a section. Yeah, so let's go over a recap here. Yeah, so basically they're saying that everything is, all of your route files are located inside the route directory here. So here, as I showed you before, and there is also that these files are like automatically loaded by Laravel using the configuration specified in the bootstrap directory. So which is here, like bootstrap and app directory, isn't it? So yeah, it is. So if we come here and take a look at it, this is where it's happening. You see, like we have an application. This is the very core of Laravel, basically. So we can basically configure things here. So yeah, here is the thing. So we have our web directory routes. So that's what they're saying. We don't have to worry too much about everything else. Just know that this is where the configuration file for the web route resides. In the next one would be the routes / web file defines all the routes for your web interface that I showed you already. And about the middleware group, it's basically middleware is something that, if I tell you in a way that when a a request hits your application, basically before it reaches to the core of your application, it has to go through layers of logic and all the stuff that is taken care of by Laravel. So you kind of let them go through those middleware. You define it. You can even define those middleware by yourself, but most of them are like already built in, so you basically do not have to worry about all of them. So, for instance, if I show you here my web file, so the middleware they were talking about is basically this here. So we are defining a middleware on the route, which is an authentication. So it basically it means that when you hit this in endpoints like profile, you gotta be authenticated in order to get access to this routes basically. So this is what is called like grouping, but generally you can do so somewhere else as well. For instance, admin, so you can say something like middleware, and you say that auth, and I think there was something else as well, like verified. I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do it. I think you were supposed to use an array or like this. You're supposed to use an array. Oh, okay, it's already defined down here. I can show you like that. Basically, you can add your middleware here on the route. So it basically secure your route so that no kind of like spoofy guys kind of come in and try to like do all those malicious stuff. Yeah, you can basically come down here and you already see it is already defined here, and this is what's happening. Middleware auth verified. So it's saying that before your request reaches to the core of the application, you must be verified user, and also like you must be authenticated. So that is basically the middleware, what they're saying. So exactly what I showed you there, although I haven't showed you the user controller. So basically you don't really like, when your logic is getting kind of messy and stuff, you don't really use all the logic inside your route here. So like a closure here. Yeah. So let's move on to the next one. We have API routes. So if you need an API, you can install this API here, and this will basically spin off an API here, API route. So this is the command. If you need a API route endpoint, basically API endpoint, you can generate this file and you can define your route here like this. So Laravel, basically this install API command. Yeah, so they're using Laravel Sanctum here, which is ideal for like third-party API consumers, spas, mobile applications, all those things. Yeah, and this is how the route looks like basically. So if you're, let's say that sending a fetch request to the backend, and you have an API defined here like that called user. So let's say that your front-end application needs user data from the backend. So if what you can do is like you can basically fetch a request to the backend using JavaScript beyond like a vanilla JavaScript fetch method or Axios, and then you kind of like when you request for that piece of information from the backend, it will hit here, and basically the middleware check that if you are allowed to make such a request to this endpoint, if you're allowed. So basically, they will send you this user here like this. So request a request object, and you get this user method which kind of basically returns all of the information regarding user. And request method, it's this request basically variable contains everything you need. And if you see that in the function here, we are passing the request of facade here, and you get a variable. Instantly, you get a variable. So everything is taken care of. That is super cool, yeah. So you just simply get access to this request object and return the user method from the request object, which contains all the necessary information for the users. So let's move on to the next one. Yeah, so basically this is where your API configuration for routing is defined, which I previously showed you. I'll show you again here. So if we go to the app, yeah, right now we don't have any API configuration or file, so we don't have it, but this is where it will be defined for you, so you do not have to manually go and set it up here, unless you have a reason to do so, of course. Now let's move on to the next one, which is all the available router methods that you have. So here is all of the route methods that you have. You have your, generic like get, post, put, patch, delete, request, including the options here. You can also use the options here, and you have basically you have an URI and the callback function basically, which looks like this: URI and the function. Oh, this is super cool. I remember this one, which is a route match. So rather than, let's say that you have a get request and a post request that is essentially returning the same kind of logic or handling the request with the same logic. So you can do so rather than like defining those route in two places with the same logic. You can basically refactor it, and you can generally use this match function. So you see how efficient it is and how you can optimize your code with Laravel. And what's happening here is that when when the request is basically hit, so when someone visits the home page and you have a get request, you have a post request as well at the home page. So you can basically, it will automatically detect that if it is a get request or post request. And based on that, yeah, it will return the function that you define here. And there is also any method. So it basically, if you do this, it will respond to any methods that you have seen up here, which is basically get, post, put, patch, all those methods that you generally have on the form. So this is really neat. So when defining multiple routes, So when you're defining like multiple routes here, so this is something that you need to remember, that they must, all of this must be put before uh, using the any match and redirect or like redirect methods here. This ensures the incoming request is matched with the correct route. Okay, so say, what do you says? Okay, I'm kind of getting deviated. And now comes the dependency injection. Let's read it and talk about it. Yeah, so the thing that I was talking about previously was that how it's working, that you pass a class here and you instantaneously get the request object here. So basically, this is the class you type in, and then you get the associated variable that you're looking for, which for a request, you already get a request object like that. So this is what dependency injection, like DI is, and this is what happens when you're using dependency injection, which is like you pass in the class here as type hint, and you basically type in this variable, and you get access to those to that class basically. And you can use this variable for whatever reason you want to use it here. So that is super neat. You do not have to worry about how it is done. It is already taken care of. If you want to worry about that and see how it's working, you might want to dig into dependence injection concept, and you can also like go here and click and see how it's working basically. Yeah, I think Laravel documentation has something like that where it explains in detail how it's working, or maybe not. I've probably forgot. But anyway, this is what's happening, and this is done by the Laravel service container. So that's it. A service container, it's beyond my scope right now to talk about it, but this is one of the essentials of Laravel. So if we go up here and kind of see the architecture concepts here, you see that these are the most like four like essence of Laravel: request lifecycle, service container, service providers, and facades. All of them basically. So I touched briefly on facades. Basically, all those predefined class that you have with loads of methods that is already ready for you. And service providers is something that is we were talking about, the how, for instance, service providers is it provides you the service of using this dependency injection into your route here. So here, this is how uh, request, you can pass this request facade and you can use the variable here, and you get access to all those requests, basically variable here, and all those things that you can get out of the request. And request object has a lot of stuff, basically mostly containing uh, what kind of information you have in the request. When someone hits the URL, all bunch of like stuff, including their IP address as well. So let's get down here, and CSRF protection. This is very important. So CSRF protection is cross-site request forgery, and how it's working is again beyond the scope of this limited time right now, but you can dig into it. And I would highly suggest that if you are a beginner or have been like working in the web development and you kind of do not know about CSRF protection, you might want to go out there and check like what is it. This is one of the most crucial security aspect that you definitely should consider taking care of for your application. You probably will, you can find it all over the YouTube. But basically, when you're using with Laravel, it says that let's say we have a form here, and you need to like post some input to the profile page. So let's say you have updated your information, your profile information and stuff like that. So when you submit this request from the front end to the back end, and if Laravel sees that you do not have this CSRF directive like specified here inside the form, it will plain kind of like reject it. Like, no way, no way, bro. We are not like letting you pass here. Nah, it'll like get lost, things like that. And yeah, they will be like very strict about this, which is a very good thing. So the like malicious actors cannot kind of get in here and try to do bad things on behalf of your credentials, basically. So this is what Laravel does for you out of the box, just like that. And redirect routes. Okay, so here's the thing. This is neat again, like a route redirect. So what happens here, let's say this is mostly used. Redirect is if you want to like redirect a user from a page to another page when a certain operation has been done. Yeah. So let's say that when someone submits a form, then what happens at the end? So let's say everything is done, validation and all the logic in the backend, that how you should deal with this request that is sent to you. Then what happens? Do you want to remain in that page and like do nothing and let the user take over and manually like explore the site and stuff with at least with the message like a notification that okay, your a post has been submitted successfully, things like that? Or for the better user experience, most of the cases you want to redirect user to some pages. So let's say that if a user submits the request to the backend and Laravel like go takes care of them and submit the request for the post, any post. For instance, let's say that if we talk about Facebook, when you submit a post, basically what's on your mind and you submit a post. So let's say it is built with Laravel and everything is done. And what happens is that it is redirected to probably to your profile. Yeah. I mean, it's been quite a while I have used Facebook, but I think this is generally how you can define this redirect here. So you do not have to basically go ahead and create another route for redirect and stuff. That would be like tedious and redundant. So this is what it does for you. Man, Taylor just got you. I got your back for all of this. Mad respect for the dude. And by default, route redirect returns a 302 status code. You can customize it any way you want. So you will also have a permanent redirect method to return a 301 status code. I'm not quite sure what this is. What do you mean by permanent redirect? What's the difference between these two? Mm, and I also I have no idea what 302 status code basically does. So let's kind of, you know what, this is one of the time that I'm quickly going to, rather than Google and stuff, I'm simply going to ask Bing here, Copilot. And this is one of the cool thing about uh, using Microsoft Edge, which is like it provides you with this free chat GPT. And that is super cool, man. You really don't have to go ahead and pay for a whole GPT-4 and stuff. And you also have Copilot here. So I'm simply going to ask, what is, so what is 302 status code in web development? So it's kind of processing my request. And at the same time, what is so cool about uh, being alive in a time like this is that you get to see the artificial intelligence at work. So previously, people used to do like relied a lot on Google because that was the artificial intelligence of back then of like someone like 10 years ago, like even 5 years ago and stuff. Yeah, so this is one of the very natural process when you do not know what it is, you have to Google it. But now this is way more faster because AI already like gives you your like your answer right away. So that is super cool. So let's see that. What is 302 status code? Okay, so redirect. I gave you one of the example that how you can redirect user after a certain logic is performed. You can also like redirect if you have changed your URL. So basically by default, you will have the 302 status code, which is like temporary redirect. It basically indicates that the resource the client is trying to reach temporarily resides at a different URI. So it's basically, it says that if you're here, so if someone is here, you send there. That is the thing. That is neat. I looked up for 302 and what 301 does is like, oh, and also you have a whole bunch of stuff in Ambient. Okay, about 301. Okay, so permanent redirect. Now I think it makes sense that what permanent redirect is. So 30 301 basically indicates that a URL has been permanently changed, so it's not worth visiting there, things like that. So now I think I can make sense what permanent redirect does. So if you visit here, it will like send you there. And this is kind of essential if you have a very like a good SEO indexing on your site and you don't really want to mess up the URL in such a way that that Google has already indexed. So I think you can use the permanent redirect. In that case, it will always hit here, and you will be able to send the user there. So when using route parameters, oh, so this is one of the constraints that you have to take care of, that you cannot use destination and status inside the parameters here. Okay, that is super cool. V routes I already know, and let's go through this. Oh, wait. Before I go there, I completely like forgot that I have opened another tab for from the MDN. So MDN basically has everything that if you need to deep dive into something. Yeah, I kind of needed to like learn about this code on the surface level and stuff. That's it. That's enough for me for the time being. these are something deep dive that you can always do anytime you want. So the reason I came here to show you that MDN basically has everything, all the status. It's 302. If we go to the other status codes, yeah, basically all of them you can find here. 1, 2, 100, 200, like successful to the right information responses, successful redirection messages. So here we are looking at. So here it says like you see like 300 is multiple choices, 301 moved permanently, 302 found. But I mean it's kind of probably changed, but the URL is found, something like that. Yeah, so that is the thing. It has changed, you see. Yeah, so if you want, you can go through this. You can pause the video right now, and you can. Oh, I think you cannot do it right now, maybe, or I think you can. Yeah. So you can pause the video and then go there and read through all of this test codes here. So basically, you'll have a deep dive into all of these codes. But I'm not going to go there right now. I'm gonna get back here to the route, and I already can see what it is about, which is very like simple stuff. Oh my god, no, I did not know about this. I really did not know about this. So basically, what view routes does is view is another like method on the route. So basically, it is saying that if you have a route which is only returning a view, so you can generally define the you can basically set the view method right on the route without really like manually defining route get and then all of this logic. So okay, what's the constraints here when using route parameters in the view routes? Oh, these are the reserved stuff you cannot use in the parameter, which is like view data, status, and headers. These are reserved. So, so let me kind of get back to my editor here and talk about it. So what they mean is like if we go here, so see basically I am although I'm returning inertia render here, I don't know, there could be something like that from inertia. I don't know, but basically the what they're saying that you generally return a view when you're not using any third-party stuff here from the very basic Laravel. You kind of use this that you use a view method. So you define your view here, the in this case welcome, and let's say this. Okay, so what's happening here? I'm saying that if someone visits this route, so this component should render. And what this second parameter does is it's basically you're passing additional information which you can get access to from the page. So if I say title home, if I come back to welcome view here and define props here, if I say something like title, which is like a string, and I think it's something like this. Yeah, string. So what this does is like it kind of I think I'm using TypeScript, but anyway, the idea is that you define your props here, which is title that I just defined in the web. So you can have basically get access to that piece of information. It's more like if you have used React, how you pass props, but these props it's coming from the backend right into your front end. Like that is way cool, way cooler than I don't know rest of the thing. I get super excited about this feature though. So yeah, so basically what this is what it does when you define a generic uh, Laravel route here and return a view. So what it was saying that you rather than defining it like that, you can simply do something like route and view and the same thing basically. So welcome. The second one is the view. Okay, the first one was the URI, my bad, and we can change it to home and come here. So what this will do is basically you did not need to go here and kind of like define return, view, and all the stuff. It's kind of taken care of if only when you need to, only when you're returning a view. That's it. That simple. Okay, so let's get back and see what's happening. And also, I don't want to stretch more than an hour because I just wanted to kill the time right now by reading the docs. Okay, listing the routes, it's basically, I don't want to read it right now. I cannot want to quickly tell you what this does. Is like, if you run this command like PHP artisan route list, it will show you all the routes that is used inside your application and basically you have defined. So if we go to our terminal here and we take a new terminal here. So let's try that one, yeah? PHP artisan route list, I guess. But for me, it will be different because I'm using sail. So sail command starts with sail. I don't know if I should use artisan, but let's try just sail route list. No, I can't. I have to use the sail artisan. So I have the shortcut for setting the sail artisan here. I don't have to type all of the sail artisan stuff, but I'm just typing it in case you didn't know about it. So what I'm saying, the show me all the route and oh, I'm in the blog. My bad. Okay, I should go to the blog is for. Okay, so say sail artisan route list. Yeah. So here is the thing. You can see all of the routes that has been defined in your web file, basically. We don't have API route here, so you cannot see it. And it's kind of looks like it's kind of unreadable due to my Z shell theme here, but yeah, I can see it. So this is super neat. And let's get back. Oh, so you can also, this is something I didn't know, but you can always like find it with the help. So let's check this out. So if we go to my terminal, a new one, it keeps opening to my loggy directory because I have defined it like that since I'm working on it. But no worries, we can always like manually change the directory here. And so what I want to show you that even though it's everything is there, you can do something like a route list help. So you can see all of the parameters that you can use on this command basically. So you have JSON, method name, and a whole bunch of stuff here. I just saw something like V, so we'll try it out, okay? Route list V, wasn't it specific. Yeah, it will show you all the middleware used as well. Uh-huh. So here it is. Man, previously we saw the all the routes that has been defined like post, get, and all the stuff, but we didn't see any middleware there. For instance, it's Elegant, and we didn't see no middleware there. But right now you can see all the middleware used here. Verify email, register, profile, password, login, logout, forget password. Since I'm using Breeze, which is a starter kit, it takes care of every bit of logic like this, like confirm password, resetting password, email verification, notification, and all this stuff. I mean, man, you would have had to like otherwise write it from the scratch. That's the thing. Well, one thing that is for sure, like if you're starting out, if you know how it's working from the bottom up, further down the road, you won't have trouble like understanding the abstraction. Although there is like war between the low level code versus the abstraction. You know, a lot of people prefer low level code, and a lot of people like prefer abstraction. Nobody's right or wrong here. Everybody's right in their own way. So what it does is when you're basically using low level code, for instance, if you're using a programming language like C, what it does is like it's very pedantic and it's very in your face, like it's speaking to you that this there is no abstraction and stuff unless you're using a like third party package, third party like library and all this stuff. So even something like a string replace method that we generally know are very familiar with, for instance, higher level language like JavaScript, Python like this. So you would have to like implement them by yourself unless you're using a third party library for a language like C. On the flip side, this same method is available on the JavaScript Python, which is abstracted away. So basically, you do not have to write the code for the same methods that you already have available, like through this higher level language like JavaScript, Python, and so on. Yeah. So you also have page partition route list VV. So it will expand the middleware groups. Wait, let's try it out as well. Whoa, it expands and shows all of the middleware that has been used for all of these routes. Wow. So let's get somewhere like an admin here. So on the get request for admin, on the get request, you have an admin middleware defined there in the route. So if we go to our code, like editor here, admin, yeah. So this is the thing. We see on our route, we have an admin URL. So what happens is that we have a admin like a middleware defined here. Not this one. I don't think we have admin like defined here. Basically auth and verified and all the stuff. So yeah. This is the route. Yeah, admin. Yeah, you have all of this middleware used in the admin. Yeah. On dashboard, you have all of this middleware. So you see, like, if you had to like build your own application from scratch, you would have had to write all of this classes by yourself, like encrypt cookies, add cute cookies to response, start session, all these and that, all of them basically. So yeah, this is really cool for Laravel. These are the further commands that you can use to see. I don't think I'm going to use it, but let's quickly read it. Okay. Wow. So these trees basically can define the path if you want to see a certain path for an API and things like that. And except the vendor, basically, it will show you all the routes that are defined by third party. Uh, Basically, it will show you all the routes that do not have the vendor here. So except vendor, like all the packages used. And this will give you all the routes with only packages used, hiding the maybe built-in Laravel package or classes. So let's take a look at the routing customization here. We have previously touched on this. This is where you define your config. Basically, this is where your configuration for web commands and all those APIs reside. So here. So we can customize them as well. And let's read it. Yeah, so if you need to kind of like define additional routes and you want to do something with it, so you can do so here. Basically, you can directly like call this route here inside the closure, basically. Yeah, coming from JavaScript land, whenever I kind of hear, then I always like when something happens, then something should happen, this and that. I always it reminds me of promises. Okay, this is like further configuration. You can do so if you really have to. So yeah, you can always come back here and see how you can further customize your Laravel applications route. Oh, okay. Required parameter is this is like one of the most used like route parameter. So what this do is like okay, what this does is it's kind of like when let's say that a user hit the URL and you may have the user ID. You need to know which user it is. Let's say that. So you can define this ID here. This is like the wildcard, I think. So you can say something like, when you do this after user ID, you automatically get this ID right here. You define like a string ID and it returns user ID. How cool is that? Basically, this is how you can show post like a single post from Laravel, basically. So what do I mean by that? If I have a bunch of posts, which is very typical in a blog platform, when someone visits to a website which is a blog site, so they just want to read random articles, yeah, whichever they like, they can explore. So you have a list of card which contains all articles, but not necessarily the entire article is shown there. So it's the card like a title and stuff. So you click it and it takes you to this single page post that is like classic WordPress way of saying. So you basically this is how you can get like render a single page post. Yeah, this is really cool. And you may define as many route parameters as required by your route. And in the same way, man, this is neat. So not only you get post here, you also get the comment here. So the kind of comments that is associated with the post, it's right here, man. Okay, so here's the thing. You should always define your route parameter based on this dynamic parameter inside a curly braces. You can use underscore for the route parameter names, and the route parameters are injected in an order. So if you define post first, you must define the post variable first, not the other way. Like you have defined the post here and you want to get the comment ID on the as the first parameter for this function, it ain't gonna work. Okay, so last one. I kind of have to run now, and it's already been an hour. I didn't want to stretch more, so I'll read this last one. No idea what I just read. Okay, let me read it again. Okay, if your route has dependencies that you'd like the Laravel service container to automatically inject into your route's callback, you should list your route parameters after your dependencies. Aha, okay. So but this is basically saying that when you want a dependency injection as well as your dynamic route parameter, for instance, the way we saw up here, like a required parameter. So this is how you say it, required parameter. I kept on saying dynamic parameter, but it kind of makes sense that it will be dynamic. But required, let's stick to the convention and required parameter. Here you are defining the required parameters, but you're not really like using an dependency injection here necessarily. But when you do so, this is how you should do it. So you should list your route parameters after your dependencies. And we just saw only one dependency injection here, which is a request. You can have multiple like dependencies here, but the convention is you definitely should have the dependencies first and then the required parameters. Okay, so there are bunch of more stuff, and this is very addicting, and this is very cool to even read all of this and know how Laravel can basically got your back for almost everything, like virtually everything. You can build anything with it, just like that. Enums are really cool. I haven't used it thus often, but I would like to basically because I came across such a scenarios where enum basically shines and stuff, but I'm not thus familiar using enum binding. So I'll be reading this. So for today, I'll kind of like shut it down now. I'll wrap it up, but I'll remember where exactly how far we came here, and we will start over again maybe tomorrow. It basically depends because I need to work on the client project as well. And sometimes when I feel like that maybe it's due to the brain fog or I'm kind of going through the daily stuff, something already like absorbed my energy and stuff. That is the time I kind of love to read the documentation. It just, first of all, it gives me this motivation to work, keep on working, and to discover more about the tool that I'm working on. So right now I'm working with Laravel. So the more I'm reading it, it's just blowing me off. Like, wow, this is like mind blowing framework. No wonder people love it. And also there are people like you basically you have a love and hate relationship with Laravel. For me, I haven't seen anything to hate Laravel and stuff. It's on the contrary, I just love it. I just love it. And so this is it. We came until parameters and dependency injection. I am taking notes, all of this, and I should have done it, but I just didn't want to really even take notes and stuff. This is something I will know that where if I really need this kind of things, if I ever come across a scenario where I'm looking for something, so this is what happens when you know that you have read the documentation, you know where to look for. That is the thing. So if it is regarding route that I'm looking for something that I don't know how to do it, but I vaguely remember that I read it, I'll just come here and look at it. Yeah. So that's it for today. And I don't know when I will be starting my next live again. This is the very first time I'm doing something like this on my YouTube channel. And the purpose of this is to basically learn together. If you are learning Laravel or been working with Laravel, you kind of want to have a refresher and stuff. It's nothing fancy going on here. It's basically just to do like reading about Laravel, who's working with Laravel, and if you are working with Laravel and stuff, or you want to get started, we can like basically go through this together and see how it's working. And I will be experimenting with all of this. So that's it for today. Even though like something like this is the very first time I'm doing something like this, and let me kind of like close the sharing here. So yeah, that is it for today. And if you want to like further show like further see how I'm learning Laravel, and you can do so with me as well. If you have any questions, just feel free to drop in. And yeah, let's learn and grow together. Code on.